friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to the channel. So AEW's Full Gear 2022 is in the books, and contrary to what I had said in my predictions video, it's a bit predictable, this card. I was wrong. There are actually quite a few awesome twists and turns in this pay-per-view, some surprises I did not see coming. My main thing that I said would happen totally happened. William Regal turned on Mox. We could all see that coming a mile away, though, but a bunch of the other stuff I actually got totally wrong. I'm happy to say that because the entire show had, like I said, a lot of great twists and turns. Starting off with this one, Jamie Hayter won the AEW Interim Women's World Championship. According to Tony Khan, the interim title is going to stay until they figure out exactly what's going on with Thunder Rosa. Is she going to be back? Is she not going to be back? Is she going to be back after a long while? So yeah, this one totally shocked me. I actually really, number one, the Jamie Hayter Tony Storm match was a banger. Really, really good match. And yeah, they had a really elongated, overbooked finish that really went overboard protecting Tony Storm. You know, she went through a couple different title shots to the head. I think there was a stomp on a title belt or something. I don't know. There was a lot going on there. Tony Storm looked great in her loss to Jamie Hayter. But I thought this was the good move from Tony Khan to put the title on Jamie Hayter. He's sort of listening to the crowd. It seems like a little bit more these days. The crowd is hot for Jamie Hayter, and he went ahead and he pulled the trigger on it, and now she's the champion. I think this is great. It sets up a good storyline with her and Britt Baker. Is Britt going to turn on Jamie? I should say, when is Britt going to turn on Jamie? Because that's totally going to happen. Are they going to try to rope Tony Storm back into this? Maybe they'll do a rematch at Winter is Coming. I don't know, but it sets up a lot of potential stories there for Jamie Hayter as champion. So I think that's really cool. That was a good surprise right there. Probably the biggest surprise, and actually there's two other huge surprises of the night before I dive into the actual matches themselves. Samoa Joe came away with the TNT title. Now, this is how I would have booked it, or Will Hobbs winning. In any event, I would have taken that title off of Wardlow, and that happened. But Samoa Joe is now TNT champion and Ring of Honor TV champion, which is really, really cool. Joe 2 belts. Who'd have thought we'd see that? Nobody, because in the betting odds, which I didn't really review here on the show before Full Gear, the betting odds had Joe as a super underdog. I thought this was an awesome moment here for him. It's Samoa Joe. He's like one of the best wrestlers / promos on the planet. And so, yeah, him having that TNT title, that's awesome. That's great. The other thing that I totally didn't see coming was the Death Triangle winning and then them taking this championship bout to like a best of 7 series. So we're going to get in total 7 matches between the Elite and Death Triangle, which seems like a bit much. But people love these matches. People love what they do in the ring. And hopefully if they have a different story for each of these matches, that stuff can be a lot of fun. But yeah, Death Triangle got the win over the Elite's huge return. They used the Kansas song for their entrance, which is pretty cool. I guess we'll see if that's going to be their entrance going forward as the Elite, as the trio. I don't know. But yeah, Phoenix used the hammer. He came around and found out that hammer is the way to go, thanks to Pac. So all in all, quite a few surprises there at Full Gear. A couple things went the way I figured they would go, but I like that there were some twists and turns to Full Gear. All in all, it was a really fun show, and it set up a lot of new stuff. This is one of the things that I'd mentioned in my predictions video as well, is that I felt like Full Gear had an opportunity to sort of clean the slate now that the Brawl Out stuff is by and large behind us, at least, with the Elite coming back. I really don't see CM Punk coming back. But yeah, moving forward, it seems like there's a clean slate and a lot of fresh opportunities for new feuds. We saw Sammy Guevara try to defy Chris Jericho and try to get the pin on him. Chris Jericho doesn't seem too upset about that. But we'll see what Sammy Guevara has to say about that, if that's a feud that's going to continue within the Jericho Appreciation Society. And of course, with Regal turning on Mox, it seems clear that the Blackpool Combat Club, although apparently after the cameras went down, the rest of the Blackpool Combat Club came out and helped Mox go back to the back. And so I don't know, maybe they'll still be together. I imagine Mox is going to take that vacation, and then we'll see what happens with the Blackpool Combat Club. The Blackpool element of it is now out of it, though. So, I don't know how Regal's going to explain this otherwise to them. So anyways, let's talk about some of these matches here. It kicked off, the pre-show had 3 matches. We had Orange Cassidy, Trent Beretta, the best friends, and Rocky Romero versus The Factory. And then we got the debut in AEW of like this darker version of Danhausen, where he's a bit more sinister, wrestles a bit stronger of a style, dropping people with German suplexes, not as comedic. And then he went to his normal form a little bit later on in the show in an interview segment. But I thought it was cool. I'd never really been exposed to this darker version of Danhausen. Apparently he's done this before. But no, I thought that was pretty cool. Of course, Team Chaos got the win. Team Best Friends, whatever you want to call them, got the win over The Factory here. Pretty easy match to call on that one. Ricky Starks, all beat up, defeated Brian Cage. And I thought this was a really fun match. Ricky Starks, he has like rib tape on, he has like shoulder tape on, he's all beat up. I don't know if I like his chances necessarily against Ethan Page going forward. I think a much more fun story would be Ethan Page taking on MJF for that world title, because they just did the thing with the Firm. Doesn't seem like they're aligned with MJF. They didn't help him in the end, but maybe it could be revealed that they are still part of his group, but that wouldn't make any sense. So yeah, I don't know. The group that he just kicked to the curb, their main guy challenging him for the title, I think that's kind of a cool idea. They should do that. But Ricky Starks is great. It's just he's been beat to hell during all this. So I think that Ethan Page probably has a better story in line there than Ricky Starks and MJF. But in any event, whoever wins that match on Dynamite on Wednesday, they're going to have some good stuff coming up with MJF. We also had Eddie Kingston in his dream match against Yunakiyama. Real physical match, real brutal match. People being dropped on their heads. Lots of brutal strikes left and right. Eddie Kingston picks up the win here against his hero Yunakiyama. So that's fun. Or is it June? I think it's June, isn't it? Is it June or Yoon? Whatever it is, let me know in the comments below. The main show kicked off with the cage match. Jungle Boy versus Luchasaurus. Oh boy, these guys really went at it. That final spot there with Jungle Boy dropping that elbow from the top of the cage on Luchasaurus, that looked like it hurt Jungle Boy more than it did Luchasaurus, I'll be honest with you. But man, these guys gave it their all. Good to see. This is probably the blow off between these two, and then Jungle Boy can move on to other things, and Luchasaurus can see if he can be intimidating, being dinosaur / bad guy now. But yeah, Jungle Boy picked up the win over Luchasaurus. Fun stuff. Jungle Boy got busted open early on in this match. Won it with that that elbow off the top of the cage. It was good stuff. We had Death Triangle versus the Elite. I already mentioned this match as well. Again, this is one of those matches where you just got to see it. There's all sorts of crazy shit going on. Nick Jackson jumping off the top doing a Hurricane Rana on, I don't know who it was, Pentagon. No, it was on Phoenix, I think, down to the bottom. And I don't know how these guys do half this stuff. It's just everybody dumping everybody on their necks. Really good stuff. And yeah, like I said, the Death Triangle got the win here because Phoenix used a hammer as Kenny Omega got him up there for the one-winged angel. And yeah, if you can sneak in a hammer shot, chances are you're going to have a good chance of winning that match. Next up, we had Jade Cargill, who had some really cool Thundercats gear. Chitara was the character. I wasn't like a huge Thundercats guy when I was a kid. I was more of a He-Man guy. And I always thought that the mixing cat and human was a little bit weird. But yeah, Jade Cargill looked like $1 million. She picked up the win here over Nyla Rose. I like this match because it had both these competitors hitting each other with their finishers. We had Nyla Rose getting hit with a beast bomb from Jade Cargill, and Nyla Rose hitting Jade with a jaded, but both them kicked out. I always love when wrestlers do that. My favorite instance of that is The Rock versus Stone Cold. I think it was in their third WrestleMania match. Man, they were just dropping each other with each other's finishers left and right. That was good stuff. In any event, Jade gets her title back from Nyla Rose, who had stolen it from her. Chris Jericho successfully held on to his Ring of Honor title, beating Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, and Sammy Guevara. Chris Jericho got the pin on Claudio after a flying Judas effect to interrupt Claudio swinging Sammy Guevara, and then he hit a second Judas effect and got the pin on Claudio. This match was excellent. There was a lot of different stories being told between Danielson and Claudio being in the same faction and then having to fight each other. Chris Jericho telling Sammy Guevara, go stand in the corner while I try to get this pin here. Eventually, Sammy getting fed up and being like, no, man, I'm in this match. I want this title. And really taking it. Chris Jericho getting a couple near falls on him. I thought this match was really well done. Sort of a great mesh of all these guys' styles. And Chris Jericho ended up retaining his title We'll see if this is going to lead to any feuds between him and Sammy Guevara within the Jericho Appreciation Society. It seemed, you would think at this point that the Jericho Appreciation Society, Blackpool Combat Club will be done feuding, but that remains to be seen. I guess we'll see on, what's it called? Winter is coming up in December. After that, we had Soraya beating Britt Baker. This match, as I figure a lot of the Soraya matches are going to end up being, featured Britt Baker really just trying to take it to Soraya's neck. They did a spot really early on. It was like the first thing they did in the match where Soraya like sold numbness in her arm and really sold her neck, and then popped up and was like, "Oh no, I'm just joshing you." But yeah, no, a little bit of ring rust here for Soraya, but this was terrific, man. I thought just the emotion of the match, her coming back, her brother was there ringside. I thought she did pretty damn good for somebody who's been out of the game for a really long time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more Soraya matches. And again, I think her coming back, it seems like it has been a bit of a shot in the arm to the women's division between that happening and then Athena on Rampage taking on Mercedes Martinez there in Ring of Honor. You're setting up some cool stuff in the women's divisions for both AEW and Ring of Honor. But yeah, no, I think this was good stuff. After that, we had Samoa Joe beating Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs. Powerhouse Hobbs was on the bad end of 4 power bombs, the powerbomb symphony from Wardlow, after Samoa Joe took a pretty decent barricade spot. And then he hops back in it and blasts Wardlow with the title. Of course, there's no DQ because it's triple threat, and then chokes out Powerhouse Hobbs. All being told, though, I mean, this match is only about 10 minutes long, a little less than 10 minutes long. This was phenomenal stuff, man. Wardlow continues to do really, really cool stuff in the ring, adding a bunch of high-flying moves to his big man repertoire. So I continue to be impressed by Wardlow there. If they can bring his character work back up to where it was back when he was with MJF, I think he's got a good shot at taking that title off MJF at some point in the future. I think it'd be smart at this point for Tony Khan to really focus on those AEW originals, guys who have been with the company for a long time that we've grown with. And I think if you really focus on getting some good stories there with Wardlow, then I think he potentially down the road, I don't know when it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be 6 months or a year. MJF's probably going to have that title for a while though. But yeah, I can see Wardlow being that guy if you really focus on building him up, and you could do that here, whether it's feuding with Samoa Joe now or continuing this feud with Powerhouse Hobbs. I think there you could be in line for some good stuff there. Sting and Darby Allin, just another crazy match. Defeated Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. They had Satnam Singh there helping out, catching people, doing crazy spots, choke slamming Sting, which was pretty gnarly there towards the finish. And I get the feeling that Sting and Darby Allin's days as a team is probably coming closer to an end, as Darby Allin had indicated, I don't know, like a month ago or so, that Sting had said, hey, man, go start doing some solo work. So I don't know, maybe they'll revisit Darby Allin versus MJF in a month or two for the world title. And then, I don't know where Darby Allin goes from there, but I've really enjoyed his work with Sting. And Sting obviously just loved doing that crazy stuff, flying off the top of entrances and all that. So yeah, this is a really fun match. It was just crazy. He was all over the place. To see these old guys, Jeff Jarrett and Sting, just do some pretty brutal stuff. That was a fun match. We had Jamie Hayter then beating Toni Storm. The actual meat of this match was phenomenal. This was really good wrestling. They overbooked the finish to help out Toni Storm, make her look good in a loss, with Britt Baker coming down and taking the padding off the turnbuckle, with Rebel coming down earlier and delivering a title shot to Toni Storm. Really, putting the boots to Toni Storm to take this loss to Jamie Hayter. But this match was absolutely phenomenal. I really recommend checking out this match. Then we had the Acclaimed beating Swerve in Our Glory. Most of the story here focused more on the breakup of Swerve in Our Glory, of Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. And I thought that it was probably not, in my opinion, this wasn't as good as their prior 2 matches. However, the story here was more important, I think, than I'm not going to say match quality, but it was really Swerve in Our Glory's story about them breaking up more than anything. And in the end, the Acclaimed were able to take advantage of that. You had Swerve Strickland telling Keith Lee, hey, use these pliers on Bowen's fingers. And Keith Lee was like, not cool with this anymore. You're too far gone. And then he leaves, and he just ditches his partner and watches Swerve Strickland get beat from the top of the stage there. And the Acclaim pick up the win, and they successfully defend their tag team championships. Smart move by Tony Khan, keeping those titles on the Acclaimed. They're probably the most popular act in AEW right now, beyond maybe like Jamie Hayter, and of course MJF. Everybody loves MJF. Speaking of MJF, we had that main event. MJF beat John Moxley with the help of William Regal's brass knucks. It wasn't Regal delivering that blow himself. MJF got rid of the diamond ring, and Regal slid him the brass knucks after like just a bunch of ref bumps. Mox just, giving middle fingers, saying, hit me, motherfucker, left and right. A lot of cursing in this match, but MJF got the win and got that AEW World Championship. Again, this is the one that I called correctly in terms of how the finish was going to happen, but it didn't make it any less cool to see MJF get that title, show up at the media scrum, just curse at everybody in the room, and then leave without answering any questions. It's going to be really interesting to see MJF with that title, what kind of stories they're planning for him, what kind of stories they're going to tell, how long Mox is going to be on vacation. A lot of questions here that I'm interested to hear the answers for. But all in all, like just between me and a lot of the sentiment I've seen online, a lot of people really enjoyed this pay-per-view. There weren't the complaints that I had noticed before for All Out about bloat, too many matches. This one came in around the same amount of time, but less matches. They all had more time to breathe. And I think that the stories being told in the matches themselves were better than sort of the build to the pay-per-view itself. And now maybe week to week, we can get back to the storytelling that AEW was doing about a year ago, where it was a bit more compelling week to week on TV. So that's what I'd like to see. Let me know what you guys thought of Full Gear in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. Till next time, check out this one right here. I watched some old NWA wrestling. It's a pretty funny video. Rob edited it. He did a great job. Check that out. We'll see you over there.